Chapter 7, The Dance of Death. I can't take no pleasure in killing. There's just some things you gotta do. Old Man, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Several seconds of blackness are broken up by a flash of light, revealing a photo of the grimy, yellowing fingernails of a corpse. Then one of a gooey limb, rotted white teeth, and an early daylight close-up of the head of a decaying body sitting on a gravestone. The camera retreats slowly, a vast and cloudy blue Texas landscape growing in size and interrupted by gusts of smoke. Credits run alongside undulating deep red splashes of color on a dark background that looks like the rough draft of a doodle by an abstract expressionist. This disorienting opening sequence, filled with death and unlikely beauty, ends with a glowing full moon and an armadillo lying upside down on the side of a road. Welcome to a cracked world. Watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time can feel like trying to understand traffic zipping by on a highway. Who is that dead body? What are those red images? Who knows? After presenting this grotesque, surreal opening, the movie transitions to a tiny van. A band of kids from Austin is visiting a graveyard. Sally Hardesty, the pretty blonde, is looking for the home of her grandfather. The director, Tobe Hooper, pauses to show images of local hicks and cows milling about. One lovely bright day on the road, the young kids pick up a greasy-haired hitchhiker with a lopsided grin. Within a few minutes, he masochistically cuts his hand, drawing blood, lights a fire, and relates some disgusting stories of his family's work at the slaughterhouse. It's an odd scene that operates like a warning out of a fairy tale delivered in the rough language of a home movie. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre looked like someone stole a camera and started killing people, says Wes Craven, who saw it in a grimy Times Square theater. It has a wild, feral energy that I had never seen before, with none of the cultural band-aids that soften things. It wasn't nice, not nice at all. I was scared shitless. What many described as a reckless and raw assault on the senses was also, however, a rather nuanced, for horror, portrait of a dysfunctional family and a disappearing class of people. Not the victims from the van, they were not terribly interesting, but the killers who live in the house they stumble upon looking for gas are the real heart of this intense movie. They are cannibals and maniacs, but also victims themselves. Laid off from their jobs at the slaughterhouse, when the air gun replaced the sledgehammer as the preferred way of killing animals, they are casualties of technological innovation. They are country folk left behind in a modern world. This bizarre family is the reason that if you polled current horror directors about the scariest movie of all time, Texas Chainsaw would win the most votes. Since the success of the movie, Hooper has said his interest in horror peaked when his first dramatic film bombed, and he realized that he needed to do something outrageous to get attention. He has explained that the idea of the killer's mask comes from Greek tragedy, which is sort of like John Carpenter claiming that Medea inspired Assault on Precinct 13. Doing publicity for the movie, Hooper also claimed that it was really about Watergate. This was all nonsense. Hooper did not have the cerebral streak of Wes Craven or the art film ambitions of Roman Polanski or the business savvy of Herschel Gordon Lewis. What he brought to the project was an unadulterated love of the genre, a talent for editing scenes of intense violence, and a deep understanding of the pleasure of being scared. This proved to be more than enough. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was not the first movie to play upon urban paranoia about backwood hicks, nor was it the first to explore the terror of the family dinner table. Bob Clark's Vietnam zombie film, Dead of Night, did that quite well. Exploit the rumbling terror of a chainsaw, The Last House on the Left, or include eating flesh, Night of the Living Dead and its imitators turned that into old hat. But after the first 5 minutes, the movie begins working like a highly addictive, mind-altering drug, and nearly 4 decades later, it remains as potent as ever. The Exorcist proved that scary movies could be respectable enough to win Academy Awards. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which opened the following year, announced itself with its title as a down-and-dirty exploitation film designed to shock. Both films, however, were equally important in turning horror movies into mass entertainment, but it was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that elevated the trashy, violent pleasures of making audiences gasp into something approaching high art. Just approaching, though, since getting there would ruin the movie's other pleasures.